Okay, now we know how to send arguments, and we are using them in our application. Here it is, Ivan. Yeah, we can send this argument Ivan to Stoyan, for example. We can assign a different value to this parameter. If you try right now, after the changes which we made, we will see that there is no view script. Of course, we can see where the view scripts have been searched. So in valid operation exception, the view welcome was not found. So the view should have the same name as the action. Into the folder views, into subfolder hello world. Look at this. Into hello world welcome. Okay, also there is a second location shared. We'll come to this a little bit later. Let's create the view. Click with the right mouse button and say create view script. Add view script. Phew. I don't know why the scaffolding doesn't work here. View hierarchy, insert snippets around. Okay. Let me try again. I'll create it manually, it's not such a big deal. Surround go output. Okay. All we have to do now is create a subfolder under the views. New folder. Hello world. Exactly what the system was expected. Hello. Okay, and here add view, new item, add view. And we are gonna say this is index, view, template, create. No, I don't want create template. Delete details, edit list. I don't want anything. Model class, no, I don't want. Data context class, create as partial view, reference script library, user layout page. Okay, I obviously have to choose something. I will say list, lift empty, create as partial, data context class, no. I'm gonna create it manually. Delete, property, view in browser, height, blah 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 blah. Add scope, new item, new folder, view controller, new item. What do I want here? MVC view page, index CSHTML. Okay, create this one. And in a few seconds we have now the view. Let's say hello world or something. In h1 tag, hello from index action or whatever it's appropriate. So here is the place where we put all our HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So now for index of hello world controller we have already one view script. Let's create the same for welcome. Add new item, MVC view page, view layout page, view MVC view start page, whatever. Okay. MVC view import page. Let's leave it as it is. Welcome. And voila, we'll have now the second view. I'm gonna say here h1 welcome. Okay, let's try again now. If I refresh now, I shouldn't be seeing this error message anymore. We'll see without even building. And voila, welcome. Okay, this is welcome. If I change it to index, we'll see the index. Hello from index action. I'll go again back to welcome. Name Ivan. How can we use now the arguments we have sent? Okay, in order to do that, we have to prepare them in something called viewbacks, and after that pass them to the view. Viewback, it's a property, and here we have dynamic properties. I will say name. In other words, properties which you declare dynamically. Viewback. If you look at the definition of the class, of course, this viewback, you won't be able to see them. Num times. Num times. Okay. And let's build the solution. Okay, build succeeded. How we are gonna use them in the view? In the view, I'm gonna say welcome, and I'm gonna use the viewback with name. This is the easiest way. Of course, it's not safe, as you can see, because I don't have here IntelliSense. Viewback doesn't show me the properties, the dynamic properties. Also, here we have a demonstration of the Razor, this template language which allows us to add logic into the views. Just to show you the loop, for example, I can say for integer e equals 0, e less than viewback num times, and here I will say I++, iterator ++. And here I'm gonna print the names. But before that, UL, I'll cut and paste this into UL, this unsorted list. And here I'm gonna use list item and print again viewback name num times. Okay, so we are gonna use the second argument we are sending. And if we refresh the page, we'll see that welcome Stoyan, and in this case we are sending Ivan as a value of this parameter, so we are gonna see Ivan, and Ivan will be printed 4 times because the number of times is 4. Okay, voila, ready. Welcome Ivan. So what did we learn? We learned about MVC. We said that this is a design pattern which gives us the structure of our application, so many people can recognize this application, can easily understand its structure. The cost of change will be less because it's a standard framework, and the framework is the skeleton, and all we have to do is just add meat to this skeleton, in this case our controller's views. Okay, now let's do something more exciting. Let's create a model. I call this project movies, not by chance, because I wanted to create a catalog of my movies at home. This is of course a standard tutorial in MSDN. I'm gonna call this model movie. What I'm interested in, oops, not here of course, in the view scripts, cut, I gotta create this class in the models. Paste. Okay, let me see now. Movies. Views move. That's good actually. We're gonna see application. This is movies, models. That's it. Okay, this is the namespace which we need. Okay. Actually, do you know what? Let me delete this and start from scratch. I just want to make sure that scaffold is helping me now to create the proper class. I don't think it's gonna create something different, far different from what I created, but still. Okay, class, movie, just for any case. Movie. I didn't pay attention on the using statements. Okay, come on. Okay, so it is basically the same. In the earlier tutorials, I told you that object-oriented programming could be used to model the real objects. Okay, let's do that now. I will say that each movie has a unique identifier, public integer ID. This is one property I'm interested in. Also, I'm interested in string title of the movie, get set, also release date and all this kind of stuff. Actually, just allow me to copy that from my mind map because I have all these properties and we just have to discuss them. So on the mind map in the branch ISP.NET MVC 4.5, actually right now I should add now 5, that's okay. MVC 6 actually, that works for 6 as well. So in this branch, in example movie class, you can find the properties. As I said, this is a standard tutorial, so you can watch what I'm doing right now. So, and I'm gonna change this to small letter. ID get date. Let's leave one empty space between all the properties. Public ID. This is a unique identifier of each one, of each movie, title, release date, genre, and price. Okay, my model is ready. Now, I have to mention something before I continue. Now, because I'm presenting this to guys who never touch database and they don't know what database is, I wanna try to create everything as a classes, relationship between classes, and after that let somebody else take care of this classes and the objects which are instantiated from the classes. So that's why we are using here in the references entity framework. Actually, I don't see them here, but in any case, I'm using entity framework. I want to use entity framework. If there is no reference, I'm gonna add it. Show files. We'll see if there is entity. If not, then I'm gonna add it. But by default, usually is added because I have chosen to use the standard authentication, ASP.NET authentication. So we'll see. Okay. Now DNX, Microsoft Entity Framework, .NET Execution, Framework, Entity Framework. Here we go. Under DNX 4.51, let's see here DNX Core 5 Entity Framework commands. This is because we're using ASP.NET MVC 6. Okay, so Entity Framework has been included. What is the benefit of using the entity framework? As Marco Pivetta, one of the creator of one of these ORM frameworks, says, simply said, forget about the database. You have to think about fluent OP interfaces, about relationship between objects, and after that let entity framework do the dirty job for you. Entity framework is gonna create the database, the tables, the fields, and everything. So that's why we are using entity framework. Otherwise, if you have to take care of your classes, persisting your objects, the data which is saved in your objects, then you can choose between a lot of design patterns. One of them is table data gateway, raw data gateway, active record data model, repository, of course, unit of work eventually, and many other design patterns. All these design patterns and best practices are already implemented in Entity Framework. So if you're fun on doing everything from scratch yourself manually, that's also possible. We have to use repository design pattern, unit of work, and such things. If not, Entity Framework is gonna do the job for us to persist, to save the data which is stored in our objects. In fact, it builds a virtual database which we're using. Okay, in memory. In order to use the Entity Framework, we have to add this class to the database context. Okay, let's see if that works right now with ASP.NET MVC. Public movies DB context. I'm putting this code into the definition of the movie class. See, this is a different class, just for simplicity. Of course, for a bigger project, this could be separated in a separate file. DB context. Control dot using Microsoft Data Entity, enter, and using Microsoft Data Entity has been added. Okay, that's it. Now, there is another thing here. Where the actual data is saved? This is the main question. Let's say I want to use the registration and register myself. Where this data is persisted? Okay, let's try to register and find out where is the database here in this project. Otherwise, we can look at here in app settings, and it's a JSON file, and see the connection string: server local DB, MS SQL local DB, database ASP.NET ASP.NET movies. Okay, this is the name of the file where data will be added. Okay, let's figure out where this file is going to be created. In order to do that, we have to register, because otherwise, if there is no need for the database, this file or the database is not created, because the database, of course, can be kept into MS SQL server. It's not necessary to be kept into a file. Local DB usually is kept in the file, but we'll see now. Okay, so my email, I will say stoyanexample.com, password, simply password. Let me try it this way. I believe it's gonna tell me that it's not strong enough. Try to register. Password must have at least blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's try something like password and something more difficult. Password number something else. Okay, again capital letter, password. Okay, so my password in this case is password. Oh, I cannot type the symbol. Okay, whatever. Register, and let's see what happens now. I'm using numbers, I'm using capital letters, small letters, I'm using special characters, so we'll see now. Come on. And voila, we are getting error, and I know why. It's trying to connect now to my local MS SQL server, and the login failed. And I know why, because I haven't started my local database, so I'm gonna do that right now. As far as I remember, I stopped for a reason, for which I cannot remember right now, and I have to manually start it. that's good actually, because we are gonna see now more things. So I stopped the server. It's not started by default. Services, let's look at for MS SQL Server. Let's start it, make sure that we can connect, and after that we'll try again. Okay, let's look at now MS SQL Server. Microsoft.net, probably is SQL, as far as I remember was something SQL down. Here we go. SQL Express. Provider started, SQL Server is not started, so let's start this service. Okay, now we started. Let's try to find SQL Management Studio and try first to connect using integrated authentication, because this is what we're gonna use. There are two types of authentication. One is SQL authentication, server authentication, another one is integrated authentication. So we'll see now. Management Studio. I'm running Management Studio just to make sure that the SQL server is running, up and running. Okay, database engine. Okay, SQL Server authentication, Windows authentication, connect. Let's see if we can connect. Server name, contact manager 64, database windows.net. That's strange. Cannot connect to the of course. Of course, I have to choose Stoyan. I forgot to change that, so let's try now. Not now. I'm recording right now, so I will help to make it better a little bit later. Okay, so now we have the connection. Let me look at the databases. Let's see if I have databases. I don't have databases. So let's try the registration again. If I refresh, let's see what happens. Confirm for resubmission. Yeah, I do want to resubmit again, and let's see what is gonna happen now. And we'll see in Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, I'm reading here. Even after starting the MS SQL Server, I see the error message. Apply migration. I will say apply migrations. And let's see what happens. The migrations haven't been automatically applied. Here we go. Migrations. Application DB context. Model 000. Here. We'll see what happens. Apply migrations. And nothing happens. Try refreshing the page. Okay. This is what we got now. Confirm resubmitting. And let's see. Yeah, it runs. stoyanexample.com. Okay, now all we have to do now is figure out where the database have been created. Is it created as a file? I bet it is, or in MS SQL Server. Let me refresh here. Databases, system data, of course, is not created in MS SQL Server, so the starting this SQL Server wasn't helpful, but let's look at in the structure of our application to see where the file is. Okay, so obviously MS SQL local DB is kept somewhere internally in Visual Studio, so the file cannot be found here in the file structure. It hasn't been created, probably it's created somewhere in the SQL server. So let's take a look. Actually, if you go to this URL, docs.asp.net English latest tutorials first MVC application, you'll find answers to all your questions. Working with SQL Server Local DB. Once you open this, you can see how to find out where your database is. So view, SQL Server Object Explorer, and here we go. I believe this is our database because I recognize the rest of the databases. I have used them. Object Explorer. Let's click here to expand database. Here we go. ASP.NET 5 movies. Okay, here we go. Tables. Here we can see the tables once it's loaded and everything else. Tables, views. So view, Object Explorer, SQL Server, Object Explorer. So it's on the SQL Server, that's obvious. It's not a file. It's not into a file. Here we go, DBO, ASP.NET users. Let's look at this users. View data. Let's see, what do we have here after my registration? So ASP.NET 5 MVC 6 allows me to do quite a lot of things. We have by default dependency injection. stoyanexample.com. Okay, here we go. This is what has been created. Okay, so now let's continue with our tutorial. Actually, I believe this is the tutorial which they're introducing here. I'm not quite sure, but in any case, it's a classical tutorial, this movie. Let's continue now. Once we have created our model, all we have to do now is scaffold the controller and the views. Here we go. This is our movie model. This is the movie DB context. We can add connection. We can use another, if we like, we can use another DB context, or we can use the existing DB context, and this is probably what I'm gonna do right now, because in the application settings I can create, of course, another connection string and default connection, and we'll see what happens. Connection string, default connection. Obviously I saw that we don't have to create another context. We are gonna use the context. This comes from the ASP.NET MVC 6 tutorial. So what I'm gonna do is, this is not actually necessary, or maybe I will leave it as an example and see and type not needed. Okay, so all this is not necessary. I'm gonna comment this for ASP.NET 5 MVC 6 application. As I said, there is a dependency injection here. All we have to do now is scaffold, create the controller, data access layer, entity framework. We are using for data access layer entity framework, and all we have to do is just scaffold the controller, Click on the controllers, add controller, MVC controller with view using entity framework, but before that we have to build the application. Okay, built successfully. Now add controller. As you can see, the scaffolds are less than in MVC in ASP.NET 4 and 5. Okay, so now add model class. I should have movie. Okay, I do have it. Data context class. I have only one application, DB context movie. Use async controller actions, user layout page, controller name, movies controller. Very, very good. Add. And I'm getting this message. Yes to all, of course. I want to reload everything. Application DB context has been changed. Let's look at application DB context. Here we go. Public DB set movie has been added. Probably this should be movies, but I'll leave it as it is right now for this tutorial. Okay, because in any case it has been added automatically. So let's look at our movies controller. Application DB context, movies controller, context movie to list, and all this kind of stuff. Movie context movie. So that's why I'm not gonna change it right now. Of course, if I decide, I can do refactoring and put plural, but let's keep it as it is right now. Okay, now I think we're ready to run our application and see what happens. Before that, let's take a look now in the services and see what's going on here. Service, view, email sender, SMS message service. Let's see this message service, what it is. The services sent email async, sent SMS async, okay. View, share it, npm, okay, nothing interesting here. Let's take a look in migrations folder, which is very interesting because it's used to build a database. Let's look at for movie. Let's see if there is something like that. Movie, here we go. Movie protected. Interesting. ASP, oh, this is the name of the project, of course. It has nothing to do with the tables and the entity which we just created. Okay, let's look at in application DB context. Again, let's look for movie. Here we go. Movies, models, application user. Again, has nothing to do with the model. Movies, models, application user. Again, nothing to do with what we need. So, in other words, in the database we cannot expect to find right now movies table. Let's look at in SQL Server Object Explorer, and if we reload, we won't see anything here in databases, ASP.NET movies, tables. There is no such a table. So how we are gonna create the tables which are necessary to work with our new entity which is called movie? We have to run the PowerShell. So this has been changed because before we had to run the NuGet package manager console. Here I'm gonna use open folder in File Explorer or something just to manage NuGet source, open folder, properties, register, open folder in File Explorer. Yeah, controllers. I could say shift right click and try to open the command prompt. Open command window here. So here we go. I'm in movies. Now I have to run those commands, which can be found on the URL I just showed to you. Here we go. As I said, this tutorial is nothing else but for GitHub, our workflow. So it's a mixture between things we invent and what we have already. It's a mixture between tutorial ASP.NET 5 MVC 6. So now we have to run here dnu restore, and here we can read what this command is doing. The command looks at the dependencies in project JSON. Let's look at this file. Project JSON. Here we go. Probably is gonna open. Entity framework 7. User secret ID, version compilation, project JSON, Microsoft ISP, blah blah, and all this kind of stuff. File and download stem for more information. .NET version manager, use version is the .NET version manager, which is set of command line utilities that are used to update the configure .NET runtime. And DNX stands for .NET execution environment. The next entity framework, the EF command, is specified in project file. Let's take a look at that. Commands EF, entity framework commands. So now we are gonna execute entity framework commands, migrations and initial database update. Okay, so Microsoft has changed their approach now. Public partial class initial migration. Okay, so that's it then. Let's do that now. I'm gonna copy and run each one of those commands. .NET paste, then restore is not recognized an internal or external command. Oh, that's great, that's great. Okay, I have a backup plan for that. I just type power and I'm gonna get my PowerShell, and after that I'm gonna move. Here we go, Windows PowerShell. Let's try with this. We're not gonna give up now. So where is my project? It's in user Stoyan. Let's take a look. I should have it somewhere open. So this is user Stoyan, source repos. Okay, Stoyan, change directory. I hope these commands at least are working. Stoyan source. Come on. Yeah, very good. Okay, at least that works. Source, change directory, repos. Okay, what else? Change directory, OP 2016. With tab, I hope to be completed. OP movies. Okay, change directory src, which comes from source. Okay. Change directory source. Oh, it doesn't help me. Movies, change directory source. Okay, cannot find source. Repos, let me take a look again. Where is that? Movie source. There is a source and I see it, but movies, of course, I have to switch directory to movies again. Change directory source. And I think after that I have to switch again to movies. Okay, there. Oh, hopefully that works now. So we'll see now. let me see if the commands which I supposed to run are working now. DNU, DNU, what was it? Restore. Let's see what happens now. DNU, the term DNU was not recognized as the name of the CMD. Great script file or operating program. Check spelling on the name, whatever. Okay, so obviously I had to run on my Windows 7 something else. User stoyan dnvm upgrade -r core CLR, and it's doing something, installing to user c stoyan dnx runtimes. Okay, that's a little bit strange. Compiling native image for dnx core CLR. Start the performance, and I have to run dnv upgrade. Okay, so on Windows 7, obviously I have a partial success on installing DNU and DNX, DNVM, which means .NET Version Manager. So I read this installation guide, which says, here it is, the URL, which says that you have to run dnvm upgrade -r core CLR to install DNX for the full .NET framework. Use DNV to install DNX for the full .NET framework, or just upgrade. I will try this. By default, DNV will install DNX for the full .NET framework if no runtime is specified. Also, there is a Stack Overflow topic about that, and the guy also says, okay, you have to upgrade. If you go to the DNX project, DNVM project on GitHub, and read the installation instructions, also you can find that you have to run DNVM upgrade. Now that you have DNVM, you need to install download DNX to run your application with. So DNU now works in this PowerShell. Let me try. So DNU, and it says restore and all this kind of stuff. So now with this PowerShell, probably I will have a chance to run the commands which I had to run and do whatever it's necessary to build my project. So let's go back and continue now. I should go to the folder, this folder. So let me make this current present directory, working directory, present working directory, pwd, and like in Linux, so stoyan source change directory source change directory op, help me please, op change directory source repos change directory op change directory movies change directory source change directory movies. Okay, here we go. I'm here now. So let me try again DNU and see what happens here. It gives me a help, so I'm gonna run exactly as it in the tutorial. DNU restore dnvm use 1 rc updates 1. I don't know why. This is in the tutorial, so I'm gonna run it. Let's read what is the purpose of this. DN.NET version manager is a .NET version manager, which is a set of commands line utilities that are used to update and configure the .NET runtime. In this case, we are asking DNVM add the run release candidate 1 .NET 5 runtime to the path environment variable of the current shell. Okay, so I will follow this and see what happens. Okay, so dnu restore. As far as I remember, those are the commands we have to run. dnu restore dnu restore and see what happens now. Cached HTTP NuGet repos restoring packages for C user story and source repos. Warning, find packages by ID system.NET name resolution. An error occurred while sending the request. Find packages by ID system.NET name resolution. Again, error. So partially is gonna work, maybe not, who knows. In any case, we have to run .NET version manager update to get DNX and DNU working in the PowerShell. I'm curious to see if that this works now in the command prompt. Let me try and see. Now I have to press shift and after that right click in this folder, open command line. So let's see if I have dnvm. No, PowerShell. It uses PowerShell, so let's leave it as it is. NuGet config file. If I come here, it doesn't tell me updated something. dnv use. Okay, let's try this and see how that works. Comma max properties edit paste. Okay, so obviously I have to type it, unfortunately. Before was copying and working fine. Copy. Here we go. Now it works. Okay, so let me make sure I'm recording this. Oh, it looks more like Linux now. It's better, even though it's still a lot of magic going on behind the scene, and that's something I don't like very much. Being to process path. Okay, so that's done. I pressed enter because otherwise it just hangs there. Nothing happens. So DNX CLR win update bin to user path. Okay. DNX entity framework. Let's see if that works. DNX entity framework migrations and initial. Let's see if that works. Keep our fingers crossed. We'll see if this migrations will happen. Okay, an operation was scaffold that may result in the loss of data. Please review the migrations for accuracy. Okay, in other words, here some migrations have happened, but at least everything works now. And the last command is DNF entity framework database update. And if we look at in the Object Explorer, we should be able to see our new movies table. We'll see now. As I said, keep our fingers crossed and see what happens now. Okay, DNX Entity Framework Database Update. So, on Windows 7 I had to run the PowerShell and execute all these commands. Okay, before that I did dnvm update core CLR common language runtime. Okay, let's see what happens now for this project. DNX. Okay, apply migration. Let's see if this is a migration which we need. Uses store and movies. Okay, let's see now what's going on here in Visual Studio. So all the commands have been executed. SQL Server Object Explorer. Let's refresh. I didn't mean to refresh everything, but local database, ASP.NET, tables. Let's see if we have movies table. Probably not, probably yes, who knows. We'll see what happens now. Yep, we do have it. DBO movie, so everything works. After this PowerShell adventure, okay, DBO movie. Now we can try to run our application and see what happens. Okay, so let me make sure I'm still recording. Let's see what happens now. Migrations and all this kind of stuff. Let's build the application. I don't remember did we build it since we created the controllers. So actually in this tutorial we don't have to add a new context. We are using the application context, the default context, which gets injected into the controllers. So now all we have to do is come back here to our application and try to access movies controller and see what happens. Let's keep our fingers crossed and pray to all Microsoft gods that everything works fine. Movies. Internal sub. Okay, we are getting compilation error. Member modifier protected must precede the member type and name. Several compilation error details. .NET CLR version, DNX, Microsoft ASP.NET hosting version, Windows. This is the Microsoft. Okay, in any case, we're gonna save the problem. We're gonna save the project and push everything to the repo, even though the build is broken, because I don't want to extend this tutorial anymore. This tutorial is mostly for Git and working with GitHub, not that much for ASP.NET. We'll see what happens. Okay, so it gives me two errors in 000. Create identifier on line 12. Let's take a look there and see if we can fix something. Here we go. On line 12 it says movie protected, alright. Member modifier protected must precede the member type and name. Movie, this has been generated automatically, so quick gathering suggestions using movie Microsoft using okay movie protected, alright. Must precede the member type. Of course, I made a mistake when I was searching for movie here in this. I guess I typed movie by mistake, so this was causing this compilation error. So let's try to build again. Let's try to build a solution and try again. See what happens. Otherwise I have to rerun again movies. Let's try now and see what happens. Here we go. This movie on row line 11. I typed by accident. Let's see. Let's keep our fingers crossed and we'll see what happens now. Okay. Otherwise probably I have to rerun the PowerShell and see what happens. Yeah, success. Now after refreshing, our movie actually works. Create new, and now we can create a new movie. Genre sci-fi I'm gonna say sci-fi. For the release date 1964 0405. Title Stoyacho and Sharo from my childhood. Let's see if that works now. So success. After a little bit going back and forth, finally we have been able to complete our task and create a movie controller. Create new, and not only controller, we started from the model, we used the PowerShell and all this kind of stuff, and probably you don't remember where did we start it. Actually we started because we wanted to use Git. I was playing 3 roles. One of the roles was the mentor who came up with the idea of creating an application for movies. After that, team leader forked the project and started working on the project. He pushed all his changes, he created the project, and after that one team member just cloned the repository. Actually he has been added by the team leader as a collaborator. He cloned the repository and he created the movie controller, the view and the model. Actually he created the model, and after that everything was created automatically. Price 34.56, release date 2002 for example. I don't remember the release date of this movie. The Matrix, very nice movie. Create. Let's make sure that everything works. Okay, so we just created our first ASP.NET 5 MVC 6 application. Let's change something. Let's say this is 7 to make sure that this works. Yeah, here we go. The price has been changed. Details, back to list, and we can delete it if we like. Let's see if here we can use authorizations. Okay, if we go to movie, not the model of course, if we go to the movies controller, let's try to say that only the authorized users authorized. Let's see if that works in ASP.NET MVC 6. Authorized. Probably they use another authorization system. We're not gonna touch that probably. We'll see. Let me try once more again. Authorized. No, it doesn't. IntelliSense doesn't help me, which means that probably there is no such annotation which I can use here, which is even smarter. Centralized point. Okay. Yeah, why this authorize is not working? Yeah, probably I didn't add use authorize. And I have a suggestion here. Using Microsoft ASP.NET. Here we go, authorization, and this is for backward compatibilities. So I still can use authorize, I can use roles, I can use users, user, and I can say who actually is authorized to use this method, as I did it here in one of our tutorials. Package manager, blah blah, configure one on many. Example, let me find this. Contact phone, this is not what I'm looking for. Here we go. Authorize user Stoyan, Ivan, whatever. I can use this way. Users users. It's not working for some reason, but authorize at least is working. Let me remove this. So authorize is working. Now I'll wrap up with this and let you read another article about the authorization, which I found here, and I'm gonna add it to the main mind map. Authorize attribute. So the new authorize attribute can still do role checks like this, but it's mainly for backwards compatibility. Roles, sales. So users obviously doesn't work. Let's try it this way to see if the roles works. I was about to change here and use authorize, only authorize for the entire controller, just not to allow anybody to access my controller unless he is registered user. And this brings another question. Let's take a look at the layout here. In the movies, in the views, shared layout, I'm gonna add one menu item more here. And let's find where the menu items are. Come on. My computer is getting slow and slow and slow. ASP.NET, home, partial render body, here we go. So somewhere here we can find, here we go, ASP controller home, ASP action contact. So let's use this, movies, index, and we are gonna say movies. This also has been changed. Let's see if the navigation actually is now tied somehow to the authorization. Movie controller. Right now, whoever wants to access the movies controller should be authorized, should be authenticated. Okay, let's rebuild that and try again, see what happens. Okay, successfully built. Let's try now. I am logged in as Stoyan example, so I'm known user. I'm authorized to see movies controller. Let's see if that works. And also I'm expecting here after contacts to get another navigational element which is called movies. Let's see if that works, and after that we'll close this tutorial. We'll finish this tutorial. Here we go. I have movies. When I click on movies, I get to this controller. Let's log off and see what happens with movies. So it's not tight, unfortunately, but by default, of course, maybe it's tight if I click on movies, but I'm not registered user, I'm not a user of the system. It's redirecting me here. Okay, let me try to log in again. I don't even remember my name, my username. Email was stoyanexample.com, my password. I hope I remember it. Login. If I don't remember, I'll register again. So not now. Movies. Okay, so I can do whatever I like now. So that's it. Let me make a short recap. Actually, no, I'm not finished yet. Now, after finishing all this work, now our team player, which is called Cherysharov, wants to push everything to the repository. In order to do that, now we are gonna do Team Explorer. We're going to the Team Explorer, see the changes, click on the changes. Let's take a look at the changes, and I'm gonna say movies controller created, movies controller created, and in the master branch, what is this? Let's see, undock. Okay. Okay, I want to dock it here again. Oh. Okay. So I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna commit that. Okay. Home. Okay, home. Movie controller. Stage all. Options. Let's take a look at the options. Open file as default action. Switch to list view. Show filters. Okay, actions. Commit. And now it's gonna tell me that I have to sync. Yeah, here we go. So sync is gonna ask me for the username and password, and Cherysharov, after giving his username and password, will be able to commit to GitHub. This is where we started, actually. Cool CSN. I never log in as Cherysharov, so let me log in as Cherysharov to show you what is going on here. Sign in. Cherysharov. This is our team member. Okay. So, as a contributor, Cherysharov sees the CoCSN OP 2012, but as you can see in movies, in the model, we still don't have the movie. Is this the model? Models, yep. I don't have movies, and here in my Visual Studio I do have it. So I'm gonna say I'm Cherysharov commit. I'm gonna type my password. Of course, you'll choose to remember your password if you're on your computer to speed the things up. Okay, and let's see what happens now. Successfully synchronized incoming and outgoing commits. Let's refresh and see what happens. Here we go. We have movies model now. We should have the controller, views, and all the things we have created. Movies controller. Okay, and now we are in as Cherysharov. So, and Cherysharov is a contributor. So that's it. Let me wrap in. First we have created a project. Actually, Wingman007, a visionary guy who came up with the idea, created the repository. After that, the repository was cloned by the team leader, which is called CoolCSN, and CoolCSN created the project, but didn't do much. He didn't create the movies project, the standard tutorial. And after that, Cheresharov, as a team member, has been granted permission to become a collaborator. See, I don't have settings here when I'm collaborator. And also I see that this is a repository which comes from CoolCSN. Okay, and now Cheresharov has pushed everything. Now he can send a pull request if he likes, I believe. Let me go there and I can say new pull request. In other words, I'm asking now Wingman007 to merge whatever we have done, checking mergeability. Okay, don't worry. Here we go. Let me see. So create pull request, checking mergeability, still checking. If it's green, that means that Wingman007 will not have any troubles merging whatever we have created. Voila, it's mergeable. Create pull request, and I'm gonna say, and notice something, this is a collaborator, so each one of the collaborators should be very careful when he hits this button, because each one of the collaborators can send a pull request to the owner of the original repository. We can say we have created the project movies, okay, without too much knowledge about ASP.NET MVC 5 and MVC 6. Actually, MVC 6, ASP.NET 5 and MVC 6. As you can see, you can create a reasonable project. Create pull request, and that's it. Now if we log in as Wingman, we'll see that there is one pull request which can be merged automatically, which is the best option actually. Wingman007 and here I have my password. Okay, so I went through the entire cycle of creating the idea, creating the repository, and after that, here it is. You see that this project still has only one README file, nothing more. But we have one pull request. Here we go. When I click pull requests, I can say, okay, we have created, and I can say merge pull requests, and everything created by the collaborators, and not the collaborators, but the team, will be automatically added to this repository. Confirm merge, and that's it. Now if I go to, notice this, Wingman007 OP 2016, I will see all the files created by the team leader and his collaborators, movies, models, whatever. So thank you for your patience and attention, and hopefully this was useful.